Welcome back to First Edition. It is hard to believe, but in just under 2 weeks, kids will be returning to school and many of us will be returning to work after summer holidays. How can we best prepare for the readjustment? Well, here to discuss returning to fall routines is Dr. Janine Hubbard in this week's edition of Get Psyched with Dr. Janine. Great to see you.
Good evening. I hate to be the bearer of bad news,
I know,
but it's coming.
It is. So, while we all want to enjoy these last few weeks of summer, are there some things that we should be doing now to help us and our children readjust?
There are indeed, and that's really why I wanted to talk about this tonight, because everybody's like, come on, we still have a few more weeks. But all of us over the summer let a lot of things slide. Our regular routines become a little bit more lax, whether that's sleep, whether that's electronics, whether that's our eating, all of those things kind of shift. And like any behavioral change, it's not something we can do overnight, but we've got a nice 2-week period to start to introduce some of those changes.
So you and I have often discussed the importance of sleep.
Yep.
So why is it so important to focus on it again now and not in a couple of weeks?
Well, that's one that pretty much for all of us does a bit of a shift over the summer. And for some of our teens and young adults, they are quite frankly almost living on opposite day-night schedules, particularly the ones who are into gaming and are chatting online. And so now is the time, because as we all know, if you try to do a radical change in your sleep the night before, you're just going to be lying there going, I cannot fall asleep, I cannot fall asleep. So we can actually, believe it or not, make it relatively not too painful. What we want to do now is shift our sleep schedule by about 15 minutes every 2 to 3 nights between now and the start of school. Our bodies don't notice that 15-minute shift. They notice if you try to go to bed an hour early or even half an hour early. And actually, the best way to try to address it is to set a morning alarm and shift that back every couple of days by that 15 minutes. Because if you're not tired, you're going to lie in bed and you're not going to be able to fall asleep. But if you're getting up just those couple minutes earlier, it's not too painful. It's not suddenly getting up 3 hours earlier. But by the end of the night, you're just that little bit more tired. And it helps to make that gradual shift. It's either that, or for the people who have the radically different sleep schedules and are up at the moment till 3 or 4, we might have to do what I call the fast Band-Aid approach, which is the, okay, time to set that alarm. You're going to have a couple of really painful days where your system feels out of whack and you're very cranky, but then it helps to get it on track. And again, I can't stress enough, sleep is such a vitally important thing that we all don't pay nearly enough attention to, but especially for school. It affects your learning, it affects your concentration, it affects your mood. We all know how great we get without a whole lot of sleep, but really it can also affect mental health issues. So if you're someone who's prone to anxiety, if you're lacking in sleep, that's just going to make it all that much worse. So now's the time to get things under control so that you can deal with all the other stressors that come with that back to school week.
Okay, we only have about 30 seconds, I believe, but I want to talk to you a little bit about, you know, with more free time available over the summer. As you said, many of us have found ourselves spending more time on our phones or other electronic devices. Any suggestions?
Yep, and sorry kids, teens, you're going to hate me on this one. Now is the time for all of us to reassess our electronics use. Biggest recommendation I can give is no electronics in the bedroom at night. Sorry, we know it disrupts sleep. But have a central docking station for all family members. But now's a great time. Take a look at the apps that track your usage and sit down and talk to your kids and reassess that in a couple weeks once they're back to school, and look at where are they spending their time. And it's good for us too as adults. You suddenly realize just how much time you may be spending on Twitter. So now is a great time to reset some of your electronic use.
All right, well, Dr. Janine Hubbard, I'm going to have to start implementing these. Of course, it's not just the kids that have to get used to getting up again early and making lunches and stuff. It's the adults as well in their lives, isn't it? So
it is, and just keep in mind that the fall is still a lot of fun, and the fun doesn't have to end just because it's Labor Day.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in. We'll see you next